Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison from our blooming Catholic life. And today I'm here to talk to you about the Liturgy Hours Volume 2. Now, right now there's someone out there saying that it's too difficult to do and that you're going to need a subscription for a throwaway book. You don't need that, friends. You don't need that. We can get you up to speed. There's many YouTube videos out there, many apps for your phone. There's many things out there to help you. I hate to see you get a subscription. I'd rather see you get a one-time guide and learn how to do it, and then you'll have it for a lifetime. Now, some people may say it's expensive. Well, the 4-volume is a little pricey, but honestly, that subscription is going to add up quickly for you. If you are on a budget, you can look for the Liturgy Hours used, use a free app on your phone, or you can buy the Christian Prayer volume. It has most of the offices in it. It's affordable. Even it's one little volume is smaller than this. It's a little trickier again. But if I had one of those, I would show you. You could learn it super quickly. It really is easy once you get the hang of it. And it's intimidating at first. I won't lie. I really thought it was, but I was overcomplicating it. So first of all, let's look at it. It's sort of like learning a new language in that you're not used to doing the things that you do in here. Fair enough. So what do you do when you're learning a new language? You immerse yourself. So go ahead, start watching the videos that people have on YouTube. Look at the apps. There's some of them that do things out loud, like Divine Office. There are some that you can change your settings, like the Brev Meum app. And so you have options on that one. There's also iBreviary. Now, when I say options, what do I mean? So like anything, there's copyrighted material in here. So you can pick from different things in some of them. And other ones, they're going to be slightly different than the actual printed volumes, again, because of copyright issues. And it's why I'm not just going to walk you through a whole full one, because copyright issues, which I think is really tragic. On one hand, I understand copyright issues because you want to be protected. You don't want people using prayer books wrong, which they could do if you didn't have it copyrighted. But it also makes it awkward for people to share sometimes. And that is the downside of it. So let's get in here and look. This is a cover that I bought. It's a zipper cover. It's because I personally am in a hot mess, and this protects my investment. That was my choice. If it never leaves your home or your bedside, you may not need to do that. You open it up, you're going to see this is the red volume. I did say it's volume 2. Each volume comes in a different color. So volume 2 is red. That is Lent and Eastertide. You're going to see hanging out of the bottom that there's also little ribbons. There's 4 ribbons, and we'll get to that later. You may notice at some point that I have a tiny saint here on mine. That's because I need a zipper pull. The little tab I ripped off of one of them from using it so much. So I got one of these little tiny saints. I'm actually wearing a tiny saint. If I zip up my jacket, I have a tiny saint on here too. I have issues with zippers. So I had the tiny saints as my zipper pulls. So it comes with 4 ribbons. Some people, the ribbons wear out. It's no big deal. Don't be afraid to use them. You can buy replacements that take you like 2 seconds to swap these out. It's just a little insert. It's gone. You throw in a new one. It's all good. Don't be afraid to use the ribbons. That is my top tip, because that is your friend. So you're immersing yourself in it, in the language, in the flow. What is one way to do that? So because there are copyright issues and things may vary, one thing you may want to do is check out the ordinary. The ordinary is where I keep my green ribbon. And I most often use this book for evening prayer with groups, so I have it at evening prayer. But I'm going to go ahead to the beginning of the ordinary so I can tell you about it. Let's see here. And it's clearly marked at the beginning, ordinary of the Liturgy of the Hours for Lent and Easter. And when I turn the page, it actually starts out with the Invitatory. And it says, I can't say that word right. If you follow this channel, feel free to correct me in the comments below, but I'm still going to say it wrong. Let's be real. So this is the Invitatory. It's inviting you in. The Invitatory belongs at the very beginning of each day's prayer. It precedes either the office of the readings or the morning prayer. The liturgical day may begin with either hour. So this is the modern book, and you can start with either office of readings or morning prayer. And whichever one you start with, you're going to start with the Invitatory, which starts out, Lord, open my lips. And you make the sign of the cross over your lips, and my mouth will proclaim your praise. So just a little sign cross over your lips, because Lord, open my lips. You hear it right there, right? And then it'll say, afterwards, Psalm 95 is said with its antiphon. The antiphon is said before the psalm, and then it's immediately repeated. It is repeated after each strophe of the psalm. In individual recitation, so if you're saying it by yourself, you usually would only say the antiphon at the beginning of the psalm and at the end. For Easter Triduum, solemnities and feasts, the antiphon for the Invitatory is found in either the Proper of Seasons or the Common of Saints. And you're starting to go, wait, what? When you're starting out, don't worry about saints' feast days. Add that in as you go along. It's not a big deal, but let yourself get used to the normal rhythm before you add the saints. Where are the saints? They're in the back of the book. I use them with my red ribbon for martyrs, and I just move this along as I go through. It's like a calendar in the back, so that's actually pretty easy. It'll just take you a minute to get used to it, so just hold off on that for right now. For Sundays and weekdays during Lent, from Ash Wednesday to Saturday, the 5th week of Lent, the antiphon for the Invitatory is, and it tells you. So it really walks you through. There's lots of red texts, and that is telling you what to do, and the black is telling you what to say. So it's pretty easy. Like, remember when it told us we were going to have to repeat the antiphon? It literally tells you to do it. It's not a big deal. It's pretty easy. Now, this is the ordinary, where everything is spelled out. Now, if you buy that little disposable one, it's probably going to have this sort of thing written out for every day to make it super easy, and you can just follow it along. But to save space in these 4 volumes, hey, they'd be quite chunky monkey if they did that for every day for all of Lent in Easter season. That's why we have 4 volumes to start with, so we're not lugging a giant book around. But if we had everything spelled out all the time, yeah, it'd be an incredible book. So we don't do that, but we also don't really want to get in the habit of having a disposable book for literally everything. And so, yeah, the ordinary then goes on to the office of readings, morning prayer. It will walk you through what you're doing. So that's a great space to start. If you've never seen an ordinary, you can pull out your ordinary and maybe follow along. So get out your paper one here if you've bought it and go along. You can compare it to an app. You can listen along. If it's an app or an audio on YouTube, you can follow along just with the ordinary at first, just to find out what's going on. Now, a lot of us buy this little guide. This is disposable, but this tiny little thing is for the entire year. And when it's done, I can easily compost it. It's not that big. I can shred it up and throw it in my Sub Pod. Of course, I take the staples out first. So this is a little book. Where do I get this? I get mine, of course, from CFP. Can you see it? CFP Holy Angels Gift Shop. You can find them online. I know it's going to be shocking. www.cfpholyangels.com. And CFP is Confraternity of Penitents, CFP. And sometimes, this, as well as Christian Prayer, as well as this, I think they all come in large print as well. So if you're buying this and you want the guide, don't get the large print guide. Of course, the page numbers are going to be different. So this really is the all-out guide that you need. And I'm in volume 2, and it says for 2022, 4 volume, right? So Liturgy of the Hours, 4 volume, 2022. It says volume 2 is from March 2nd to June 5th, pages 10 to 21 in this book is where I'm going to be for volume 2. It's super, super helpful guide. Now you may notice that mine says the Roman Franciscan Liturgy of the Hours. What this does is add in some saints and feast days. Again, I told you don't worry about that till later. And for that, I bought my supplement. So whenever I need, it's a Franciscan holiday, it's in bold in here, and that tells me to come over and look at this book. Again, that's an advanced thing. You totally don't need to worry about that at all for quite some time, probably. So this says go to page 10 to 21. And honestly, I just fold it open, and you can see as the day goes by, oops, I tend to put a check mark. I didn't put one last night. I put a check mark just to help me out. I just pencil in a little check mark. And this one is saying, here's Wednesday of the 5th week of Lent. That's what you have to know. The day of the week and what day it is in the season. So it is Wednesday of the 5th week of Lent. It says all on 365. So my blue ribbon is where I would have that, where it says all 365. It's not quite where it is today because I had it set for something else. And in there is where I'm going to keep one of these little cards that comes in. There's one that has, what does it say on the front? Common text. So this is the Gospel Canticles, and I keep this with my blue ribbon and move it along. Then my guide says, Wednesday, it says the Psalms, P.S. Psalms, are in 1141. 1141. So that is where I keep my yellow ribbon. It's this back section. And it says 1141. Oh, and that is where it is set. And in there, I keep an index card because I pray this with friends and whatever I'm assigned to do that day, because we pray it on Zoom, I write down any notes on this little index card. And I keep that there. Uh-oh, I've told them my secret now. And remember, what did we say? It is Wednesday, the 5th week of Lent. But when you open it, dun, 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 it says Wednesday, week 1 up here. Okay, don't panic. In here, the Psalms are in a 4-week cycle. So we go through all of week 1, all of week 2, all of week 3, all of week 4, and we go back to week 1. And we just returned back to week 1. Don't panic. Again, you're going to get the rhythm of this. Now, the one that I had the blue ribbon in, it does say Wednesday. Over here, it tells you it's the 5th week of Lent. And because these ones are specific for Lent, that's why this part is different. I know you're completely confused right now. It's okay. So I'm going to go to the yellow ribbon because that's where we're starting. Now, here's you're going to get confused again. It's okay. It's okay. Follow along with me. Again, you can listen along. And it says, Lord, open my lips. And then there's red telling you to go back to that ordinary. That's why you need to kind of learn the ordinary first. And so the ordinary, why does it say, Lord, open my lips, antiphon in the ordinary? Because it's inventory. So we're going to go, it says go to 1043 in the ordinary. No big deal. We go to 1043. That's probably where you're going to have your green ribbon, right? And here we are. Remember when we went over it, had that antiphon in the middle of the page. And honestly, while it tells you to refer back, you're going to have it memorized like in no time. There are a couple that you can do. Most times people say either, come, let us worship Christ the Lord, who for our sake endured temptation and suffering. Or today, if you hear the voice of the Lord, harden not your hearts. Those are the ones that most people use during Lent, all the way to the end of this week. Once we begin Holy Week, once we start Easter, we will say the Lord is risen, and then the A word. And then there's a different one from Ascension to Pentecost. So these are things that you're going to have memorized in like 5 seconds, because that doesn't change that much. And once we're in ordinary time, things change less. Ordinary time is the easiest time to start this, but it's a holy practice to start for Easter and Lent. So then we have, it says the Invitatory Psalm. Remember Psalm 95? It's over here, but it's also in our card of common text. And remember, it told you how to say that. So Office of Readings. And again, it's written out. It says, God, come to my assistance. Glory to the Father, as it was in the beginning. And in parentheses, the A word. Now, why isn't it all written out? It was written out in the ordinary. God, come to my assistance. And you repeat, Lord, make haste to help me. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, a world without end. They abbreviate it. They do. It's very common because they don't write everything out. And that's part of what confuses people. And so I get the disposable one is going to repeat it, but you're going to learn this. It's so easy. It really is. I know I'm making it sound confusing, but remember I told you to listen along to one of those apps or follow somebody that's doing it on YouTube. And those recordings are there all the time, so you can practice them with them. It's not a big deal. So then they're going to do a hymn. There's a hymn given in the book, or there can be a multitude. You can have 3 or 4 hymns suggested. Pick a hymn. It doesn't have to be the hymn in the book. It's okay. You usually pick one for the season. Or, they tried to pick one that goes with the Psalms. But singing it is important. I know people are going to be like, I don't want to sing. Singing is praying twice. It is worth it. If you're not willing to sing it, listen to a recording of it. Say the words out loud. At least read them. It does help. Let's see here. What's next is the psalmody. The psalmody, remember I said you're going to read an antiphon, you're going to say a psalm, and then you're going to close with that same antiphon. Then it's antiphon 2. You're going to say antiphon 2. You're going to read the next psalm, repeat that antiphon. Then you're going to do antiphon 3. You're going to say that psalm, say the antiphon, and then you're going to be on, we're going to go to our blue ribbon. Now here's the difference is occasionally, if I hadn't told you this, sometimes there's a psalm prayer. What is a psalm prayer? Psalm prayers, from word on the street, only appear in the American editions. It's like a little prayer that's telling you what you should have learned in the psalm. Make your own decisions there. They appear, and sometimes they're different in the apps than they are in the print version. Don't freak out about the psalm prayer. It's okay. So now I'm going to flip to my blue ribbon back here. And look, it starts with the readings. So there's a little line, turn back to the Lord and do penance, be renewed in heart and spirit. That was our opening antiphon. And here we have the first reading. And you would say a reading from the letter to Hebrews. See? And you're going to read that out. And then there's a responsory, which is exactly like it says. And for some reason, in these volumes, I chose not to use the V and the R. So they have a line and then a dash. So it's a responsory. See, the first part is usually one person. And then when you get to the dash is a second person or all. So it's like leader, all, leader, all. But they didn't write that out for some reason. They chose not to do that. Anytime you see a dash, it's a response. Then you have a second reading here, because we're in the Office of Readings, from a commentary on the Psalms by St. Augustine. And you would read that. And then there's a responsory under that. And then it says prayer as in morning prayer. What does that mean? It's the prayer as at the end of morning prayer. So you just flip the page because morning prayer is next. This is kind of seeming confusing. I'm admitting that. But again, you're here to learn it. When you learn it, there's little tweaks that you're going to have here and there. There's mistakes you're going to make. You're going to sometimes mispronounce a word and you're going to giggle. It's okay. You don't have to do it perfect. You're learning. The fact that you are trying at all is amazing. And there are times of the year when it is straight through in one section of the book. It's not today. Let's see. Is there one where everything is in one place? I don't know the next time that happens. It's not very common in the books for Advent and Christmas until like you get to Easter itself sometimes. Let's see. What do we have for Easter? Yes. Let's go to like Good Friday. It says all on 467. So I know it's like that around Christmas as you get very close to the holy days. They're straight from the book. So no. Holy Thursday, it's still referring you to other places in the book, but it gives you the page number. Let me check here. So when you get to Good Friday, yep, Good Friday, except for the hymns, everything is here. You can just follow it straight through. Ta-da! The only thing it's missing, it says the Invitatory Psalm is in the ordinary for the Invitatory. The Office of Readings, it tells you the hymn. It tells you where to go, page 403 for the hymn. It gives you the antiphon, Psalm 2. Oh, which may confuse you, but the first psalm is literally Psalm 2. It is one of the reasons I like the old versions, which give you the first line of the psalm as its name, so you're not getting confused saying Psalm 1 is Psalm 2. That is part of the confusion, is the silliness of moving away from Latin. Repeat the antiphon 2. Yeah, so Good Friday, there's a little section here. Good Friday, I'm betting Easter's. I'm betting Holy Saturday is the same way. Yeah. And I would bet that Easter is the same way. Easter Sunday, beginning of the Easter season. And yes, so if you jump in and go ahead and look at starting at Good Friday, they go straight through. It's pretty easy for those ones. But again, don't try and just jump in and think you're going to get it perfect on the first try or anything. Is anything new perfect on the first try? No. Is it worth learning? It's worth learning, friends. And yeah, so get an app or go to YouTube and listen to a video, get out a book, and just kind of follow along. And different people are going to catch on more quickly than others. And you may have some questions that you need to ask. Like in the apps, it often says concluding prayer. This book doesn't use that language. It's just a prayer at the end. It'll say prayer and there's a prayer, but it is at the end. That is the concluding prayer. So sometimes that language gets you tripped up because each edition seems to use slightly different language. That's why I'm saying just get it out, go to somebody's live stream or the app and follow along in your book. Follow along first in the ordinary, which is always in the middle of the books. Follow along in the ordinary, and that's where I keep my green ribbon, right? And then you're going to have your blue and yellow ribbons. I keep my yellow ribbons where the psalmody is, and my blue ribbon where the reading picks up. The red ribbon I keep in the back where we have saints and feast days. Don't worry about the saints and feast days. Just put your red ribbon there, leave it, and forget it. In the beginning, you're going to want to watch the live streams, videos, apps, whatever. Follow along in your ordinary. And as you feel stronger, go ahead and look up the readings where your yellow and blue ribbons will be. You can get one of those guides, start following along with the actual Psalms. Now, if you're really hardcore saying it in a group, there's going to be different roles for different people in it. We're not going to get to that in this video. But normally, if you would say it in person in a group, for the Psalms, there's an antiphonarian. The antiphonarian is going to say the antiphons. And then they start off on the first stanza, if you will, of the first paragraph of the psalm. And whatever side they're on is like left and right side, right? So the left side is then going to do the first paragraph. The right side will do the second. The left side will do the third. And then the fourth is over here. And we alternate. That's a way of practicing speaking and listening. That's an advanced skill, so you may pick that up if you see it done fully. They call it inquire. So when it's in a group and they're on two sides of the room usually, and you do one and the other. If you're saying it in your family, I think I've said this before, you can pick boys and girls. You can do adults and children, whatever you need to make it easy. Because if you're picking left side and right side, and you've got a little squirmy who's going from side to side, that's not going to work. So you may want to pick it by age or by gender, or even have your kids wear two different colors to make it easier. Again, you're going to notice that if you watch somebody saying it in choir, don't freak out when you're doing it individually. You don't have to worry about that. It's just you. You don't have to be like, you don't have to do that. It's okay. Now, if you want to do that just to practice, and I know when I say it in a group, even though sometimes we don't have enough people to alternate, because we're doing it on Zoom, so you can't do left side and right side. That would not work. But we do alternate between two people usually for a psalm. One of the things we do when it's just one person, we don't have enough people to read the whole psalm, they pause between each paragraph to kind of acknowledge that aspect of listening. And I think that's a lovely thing to do as well. So friends, I think that's it. I know you're going to have questions. All good. Put them in the comments below. I will answer them as best I can. Sometimes my answers kind of miss the mark, but ask it again in a slightly different way. Maybe I just didn't understand what you're saying, and I'll answer again. And I can usually find the answers for people. It's just in text form. It can take a hot minute for me to understand what you're saying, and I will answer as many questions as I can. And how quickly did I learn this? I won't lie, I'm still learning. There's always some weird little nuance that I've missed or I've been doing a little bit off, but it's all good. Everybody is learning this. It's kind of like an art form. And I will say, is it worth it? If you watch this long, God bless you, because you must know absolutely it's worth it. It's life-changing. No matter what form you do, if you do the old forms, the new forms, if you do the little Office of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Office of the Passion, the Office of the Dead, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. It brings a rhythm to your life. It reminds you to pray constantly. It really gets you in tune with the Psalms. You get to the point where you're memorizing bigger chunks of scripture, and you'll find yourself saying them to people all the time. And then you're like, I don't understand this expression, and it's going to get you searching out to really understand that Psalm. You're like, I say this Psalm constantly. What exactly does it mean? And it's really going to enrich your prayer and spiritual life. It's going to increase your relationship with God because, of course, you're spending more time with Him and talking to Him throughout the day in larger chunks than maybe you are used to doing. And so, yeah, God bless you, friends. I really hope you give this a try. I wouldn't jump into that subscription. I would try listening to the live streams, like I said, getting the apps, doing the free things first, and then maybe borrow a book for somebody or come over and sit. If you have a friend that you know does it, go and sit with them. Say, hey, can we do it together a couple times? I just want to see what it's like. That's another great idea. And remember, if you're not ready for the 4-volume, the Christian Prayer will get you through a lot of it. It's much smaller, and both of them come in small and large print. You can get all of that, of course, at CFP Holy Angels gift shop as well. That is it, friends. I hope this video has blessed you. If it has, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, let your friends know. Encourage them to get out there and say the Liturgy of the Hours. God bless you, friends.